Flesh is quite visual, spirit never physical. Only in celestial form, I'm terrestrial.
Breath of life
blown through his merciful nostrils. How can I be hostile when I speak the gospel? Holy Ghost festival, Israel is the refuge, Christ is the hospital. And I need some patience, no time for wasting. Evil will receive evil's my equation. God of Israel is my king, I'm anticipating. And I've learned that you never ever cease learning. Fire still burning, heathen still cursing. It's imminent, we stand strong and never broken. Still missing memories of the saints fallen. Tears reflect crying, throats still be choking. Many are called, but who's worthy of the chosen?
Serve you, 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 serve you. All I wanna serve is you. All I wanna serve is you.
God of Israel.
All I wanna serve is you. All I wanna serve is you. All I wanna serve is you.
Praise ye the Lord. I will praise the Lord with my whole heart in the assembly of the upright and in the congregation. The works of the Lord are great, and sought out all them that have pleasures therein. His works are honourable and glorious, and his righteousness endures forever. He has made his wonderful works to be remembered. The Lord is gracious and full of compassion. He has given meat unto them that fear him. He will ever be mindful of his covenant. He has showed his people the power of his works, that he may give them the heritage of the heathen. The works of his hand are verity and judgment. All his commandments are sure. They stand fast forever and ever, and are done in truth and uprightness. He has sent redemption unto his people. He has commanded his covenant forever. Holy and reverent is his name. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and a good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praises endures forever. Salah and Salah. Amen. Peace and welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries UK branch. Here in the UK, as us as Israelites, we don't affiliate with ourselves with anyone bearing the name Israel or any of the sort. We serve the true living God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. My name is Priest Ricardo, for those who don't know me. Welcome to all the newcomers and people who's listening in. Well, today, we are just going to be teaching we always send out the message, but the message has always been sent out. Way before me, there's so much good teachings been out there, and I've really enjoyed it myself, from all the priests and the elders and all the congregations. But we're all speaking as that one body. We're sending the same message. So really and truly, I'm just adding to it, but we should get the gist of by now, right? But anyway, today we're going to be talking about how God fights for us. So, God fights for us. I know everyone's thinking that us is actually themselves. I kid you not. If you're not of his people, the children of Israel, right? Serving the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, the God of Israel, he doesn't fight for you. I mean, by chance, you never know. You might get some luck somewhere, calling on some God elsewhere. Hey, the devil answers prayers too. I'm just saying, right? Because at the end of the day, it's our God is for us. Now you might look at it and think, well, you're saying God fights for you, but then look all what's happened to you guys. Because I've heard it before. Look what's happened to you guys. Look at all the time you've been punished. Look at slavery even. But it doesn't mean that these things happen for us, that our God ain't with us. He is. Right? There's even some go as far as trying to go after the children of Israel, as is mentioned in the scriptures. But you see what's happened to them. And the only reason why they was able to pursue the Israelites and have their way with them is because we didn't do what we're supposed to do. And that's to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and to serve the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, which is the God of Israel. And this is why we got punished. Simple. But if we was doing what we're supposed to do, that's the key. If we was doing what we're supposed to do, then that wouldn't have happened to us. And yes, things does happen. We might get tested. By chance, things happen to us. We're not untouchable. We're not. We're really not untouchable. But we are curable. 100%. But we got to keep our side of the bargain too. The God of Israel has nothing to prove to us. But continually, he does. He proves things to us. He shows us that he is the true and living God. No one can deliver out of his hands. No one can go against him. But there's many has tried and they've failed. And even still trying now. I mean, look at the world today. It's going crazy. And everyone's now searching for a God. And some is actually finding gods elsewhere, somewhere about. Because anything could be a God. It was proven back in the time of Moses' time, where Pharaoh thought that, he was that God. And he had these little idols and stuff, and you saw what happened to him. There was a teaching a couple of weeks ago, and with when it said about our presider was talking about the GOI. We don't do the GOI. We do the God of Israel. We have to promote his name, his power, who we serve. We serve the most true and living God. There's none like him, right? But people still, he's not getting it somehow. I don't understand why. But it's clear, because a lot of people's got this book, and I don't know how they see themselves in it, but not seeing the Israelites in it and God's chosen people. But anyway, I want to take you through the scriptures and just show that how God fights for his people. And it could be a bit disturbing. The reason why it could be disturbing, because you might feel that it might not be fair, and you're right. The God of Israel is only fair unto his children. And fair could be like, okay, you done wrong, you're going to get punished. But you do good, you're going to get your blessings. You follow what we're supposed to follow, then you will receive what you need to receive. That's fair, right? So, when you check it, that a lot of people's going to make claim that it is them. They're going to see that, oh wow, my God fights for me, and but it's not that when this God is saying his children, the children of Israel, I don't know, all these other people just seeing themselves in there, but they're not seeing that it's only the children of Israel he caters for. Right, anyway, let's go to the scriptures. Let me take you to Exodus 14, from the 13th chapter. No, the 14th chapter, verse 13. And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which ye will shew to you today. For the Egyptians who ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. I just want to stop there, because I don't want to miss those points also. Like, he said, the God of Israel said he would fight for us, right? Even if you check it, man, there's so many different stories, right? That the God of Israel said he will fight for us. And this is just one of the stories, right? Where he said, just lift up your rod, because, we'll see the 10 Commandments, and you see, but, I had to make a film of it. But where it is now, is that, as I said, where he was going to fight for us, and he's saying, he put Moses there. Because you remember, he said, he made Moses a God unto Pharaoh. Seen as they like to serve God, serve Moses. But it's the God of Israel. But he had to show him that. He had to show his power. Because, as you know, this is the true living God. He made everything. So he could just he could just destroy them with one hit. One hit. He doesn't even need Moses to do anything. He could just do it himself. But he wants to show that, you know what? This is my servant. This is my servant. He serves me. So you know what? I'm going to use him. And then you're going to know that. And you know what? Even the dry ground bit. So just imagine the water is parted. And you're now going to walk on the dry ground. Just to show you that, you know what? I'm going to do this. He didn't have to do that. He could have made it just wet ground. But no, he made a point to say, I'm going to make it a dry ground. So they're going to walk on the dry ground. Now, what God is doing that? Because, these gods, what you see out there these days, they can't even blink. They can't do nothing. They can't hear. They can't see. And then, you go make them on top of that. So, who is the God? Is it you or is it the statue? Well, you know what? Anyway, let's read on. Where am I? Go for it. Right, 17. And behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh and upon all his host, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camps of the Egyptians and the camps of Israel. And it was a cloud of darkness to them. But it gave light by night to those, so that the one come not near the other all night. Right, so the angel of God, he showed the darkness, but the light was still for the Israelites. So they could see, but the darkness was upon them. So it's just showing, again, is that the battle's already won. But you have to play it out. There's many times when the God of Israel, be bold and courageous. Just go forward. The battle's been fought. That's what he says back there, where in verse 14, that the Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Because we are the children of Israel. God's chosen people. And the reason why he said he'll fight for us, because we're the only family he knows. It just says in Amos 3, you are the only family that are known as this earth. So you punish us for our iniquities. Yes, you're always looking at the punishment. You ain't looking at the blessings. You ain't looking at we're serving the true living God. But you're going to look at our downfall. But God's still fighting for us. He ain't done away with us. Yeah? He ain't done away with us. Read Romans 11. So, if you check it now, When the angel came over and he removed them, and he went behind them for the darkness, and he said, you know what? You're going to show darkness to them, but light unto us. So we're still going to see. But this is the work of our God. And he had to show it, that all these horsemen and everything, because if you went back in the scripture in verse 14, a little bit earlier on, it said how many horsemen and chariots and that went after. I think it was about 600 went after them, to go fight them, to come after them, because he hardened his heart. Pharaoh would have let them go ages ago. He doesn't want no problem for the God of Israel. He knows his power, because when he was defeating him with all these other stuff, Moses, he was showing it unto Moses. I mean, if we go back in the story and you look back in Moses, right, where Moses was brought up under Pharaoh, and to go up against Pharaoh now, wow. The God of Israel even introduced himself unto Moses to show him that, you know what? There's no God like me. There's none. No one could deliver out my hands. But Moses, you could imagine. Who would want to, just imagine that you know your dad. You know your dad, and he treats you bad, and he beats you and do all these crazy things. And you're terrified you'll never cross his path. And just imagine you grew up there and that's all you knew. Now you're going to have to turn against him and fight him. You're going to be straight up, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. No, because he had to then get the introduction to know that, where it's out of your hands. And many times God has shown that. It's by your hands where I'm going to deliver these people. No one jumped up to the mark. Yeah, okay, good. I'm set to go. Of course you're going to think, oh, what, me? Me? What, me? I'm going to do that? No, it's that, because we look at that, but the God of Israel is in control of it. Because our God fights for us. Where are we now? Okay, 21. And Moses stretched out his hand over the seas, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the seas dry land, and the waters were divided, and the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them in the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horse and chariot and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning, which the Lord looked into the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of the cloud, and it troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drive them heavily. So the Egyptians said, let us flee from thence of Israel. And the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand over the seas, that the water may come again upon the Egyptians, and upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand, and over the seas, and the seas returned to his strength. And when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled again against it, and the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. They remained not so much as one of them, but the children of Israel walked upon dry land and in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on the right hand and the left hand on the left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore, and Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians. And the people feared the Lord and delivered the Lord, and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Now, that is serious. I'll just give you a little taste of that, because I don't know if you realize that he stressed so many times that you walked on dry ground. You gotta be amazed at that. He didn't just allow you to walk or maybe go around. He parted the sea. I mean, that's amazing in itself. But for you to walk on the dry ground, he stressed it so many times. Right? And then he said that, and Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians. And the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Because you've got to remember, they was against Moses. Like, you know, every time when the God of Israel sends a messenger to come to bring back his people. Oh man, this is deep, because you'll think by now, wow, we'll get the message and we'll look towards the God of Israel and thinking, wow, you know. But whilst the message comes forward, guess what happens? We run and we serve the lie. I mean, our master teacher, Elder Shadrach's been teaching this for years. And who believes it? One guy told me that, why is there so few Israelites? Why is it only like, you know, there's a couple of Israelites? Why? You know, they're just thinking that it can't be right that if there's only like a handful, because you say, well, you know what, compared to this world, we're like a little dot. We are like that little dot. We were like that mustard seed. That's us compared to the world. Now people look at us and thinking, well, you can't be the right people because you're so small. Look how many Christians there are. There's millions of them. Look how many Muslims there are. Millions of them. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of Hebrew Israelites as well. But us Israelites, the true people, the one who talks the truth, who teaches the truth, the one you can learn from, there's only a handful of us. But it says it so many times that we are that people. Now people, some believe. And for those who believe, well, you know what? Good on you, man. The God of Israel has opened your eyes so you can see, and your ears that you may hear, and give you that spirit of understanding. And I hope more people receive this, because it's not everybody who's going to get this message before they leave this earth. But those who have, good on you. I would say stay on this path and keep serving this God. It's the best thing. It's a rough road, but the best road. Anyway, I'm going to take you to Deuteronomy. Let's go Deuteronomy 7. So, I just want to just recap again. So, the God of Israel, he used Moses to show his power for him. But remember, the children of Israel, you could imagine them, man. They must have been murmuring all sorts, man. They see Moses, thinking, who's this guy? He's going to deliver us. They was even saying, oh, you brought us out here in the wilderness to die. Like, you know, we could have been back in Egypt. You know what I mean? Even though they was getting treated rough, but you know what? They had everything there, so they wanted it to stay there. But the God of Israel had a plan for them. He's always had a plan. He's got a plan for us. He's got a plan for us. Now, the only reason why we find this is because we don't listen. We don't do what we're supposed to do and keep in our side of the covenant, our side of the bargain. We turn to other gods and then we get punished. Things happen to us. But when people feel that, you know what, okay, this has happened to them. I'm going to have my way with them now. I'm going to do this to them. Guess what? Wrong move. Wrong move. So all those people out there now thinking, yeah, they've done their time, and they're thinking, wow, yeah, I'm going to treat these people that way. Don't wait. It's coming. It's coming. As Priest Tyrone said, it's coming. What is it? The law of unintended consequences. You know, I love that saying. Priest Tyrone has always been talking about it all the time. And it is so true. The more he says it, it is so true. Because sometimes you do things and you think you're on top of the world. But guess what? It's coming for you. You feel that you've got away with it. You haven't. As it was said, why are you coming to trouble us? Leave us be. All we're doing is speaking the truth. But the truth hurts. So now you want to come and deal with us. Wrong move. Wrong move. But you've got to remember who is on our side. We've got the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And if you know about my God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel. And why he said the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Because even back then, when they knew about Abraham's God, it was like, wow. When they knew about Isaac's God, it was wow. Jacob's God is wow. This is the same God who we're serving today. Thank you to our elder Shadrach that he shed that light upon us to show us. Because we've owned this book for years. We all grew up and serving all other gods and doing all these things. Everyone had this book. And there's millions of us still got this book and they still don't understand. And the only way you're going to get that teaching is if you come to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, when you're going to get a better understanding. We're going to tell you about the truth. And that would set you free. Anyway, let me go into Deuteronomy 7. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hittites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Now, I'm going to stop there. 7 nations greater and mightier. Now, see, this is where I'm going to prove my point. Because, as I said, you're looking at us that we are very small number. Yes. He even says it here that there's 7 nations. One nation could have 1 million people. The Muslims, the Christians. Hey, there you go. One nation could have 1 million people, 10,000 people, wherever much you want to put it. But he said there's 7 nations greater and mightier than us. I mean, as a people, not as a God on our side. Let's get that right? As a people, they're mightier. Why do you look at mighty? But they probably had the rich land, and they had all these goods and the wealth and the nice things they had. Us Israelites, we're just scraping through. But we have the truth. We have the covenant. I have to keep stressing that. Because everybody wants to show what nice car and house they get. Because they get paid by teaching the lie. We don't get paid. We don't get paid. We're giving you this. You still don't want it. You can't even buy it. Right? That's got to be some spirituality that you've received this truth. The spirit of understanding to get this. You couldn't buy it. So when them guys going to universities trying to buy this sense, they ain't getting it. You know what I mean? They're not getting no truth. Nothing they're getting. But we're giving you this. But the nations, I want to go back to that. The nations, there's so many and powerful than us. They had the riches, they had everything. What we didn't have. The mighty and powerful. But when he says that, in the first verse where he says, that when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whether thou goest to possess it. Now, hey, it's in the making. The God of Israel has already got a plan. Because guess what? All your nice land and everything what you just built up and you work hard for, guess what? Look, it's reading it there. It's Deuteronomy 7. It says, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whether thou goest to possess it, right? And cast out many nations before thee. These are the 7 great nations. When he cast them out before thee. Do you remember the title? God fights for us. What do you think? We just went in there the land and start taking? No. And just in case you might think, we don't do that now. We don't just go there and just, I'm going to take over there and start taking things. No, I just want to clear that. This was the instruction from our God. The God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now, this is the truth. He said to go and take it over. Right? These great nations, the powerful nations, mightier than us. Right? Verse 2. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, no shew mercy unto them. Wow. He's not even just saying, just go take the land. He's saying, utterly destroy them. Make no covenant with them. Because we only got one covenant, and that's with the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, what he has with us and our forefathers before us. He said, don't deal with them. Yeah? Don't have no connection with them. Utterly destroy them. Like, wow. Wait a minute. But these nations are greater and mightier than us. But the God of Israel is saying, go and destroy them. But you're going to take their land. Right? And show them no mercy. Don't have no mercy with them. Now, I just want to say this. Now, and this could be very harsh. Because you got to remember, in the nation, it's not going to just be big strapping guys who's going to be, who could be able to fight. They've got swords and shields and everything and they're ready to battle. Nah, it's not going to be those type of people. It's going to be, you're going to have those, the big strapping guys. You're going to have those. You're going to have the old woman. You're going to have the pregnant woman. You're going to have babies. They're going to be niece and nephews and boys and girls, and you're going to have everything. The granddad, the grandma. You're going to have all of those type of people there now. But guess what? The God of Israel said, have no mercy. Now, if God did love everybody, as everyone likes to say, God loves everybody. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son to all of them. Come on, man. They don't want to read scriptures like this because you wouldn't ever be able to explain it. That why is our God telling us to go in the land and take it over and have no covenant, no mercy unto them, and destroy them? That's harsh, right? It doesn't cater for no one else. Us small little people, remember that, yeah? The only one who caters for us. Because we have that truth. We have that understanding. Neither shall thou make marriages with them, thy daughters. Thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughters shall thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. The God of Israel, he ain't making no joke. He doesn't want no connection with them. I don't care how mighty and powerful you think you are, because give them that right. Yeah, you are mighty and powerful nations. 7 of them. Remember that. 7 great and mighty nations, right? But don't have no connection with them. Don't make no covenant with them. Don't have even mercy on them. Not even the grandma, the grandpa, even the babies or the pregnant woman, anything. Don't have nothing connection with them. Because he doesn't care about them. He only cares about his people. He will make you work for us. Yes, exactly. He will make you work for us. But you got to see. He says, they will turn away from me and serve other gods. Understand this. Now you might see, you might be the guy and you see a nice, beautiful face, nice, beautiful woman, and then, you're thinking, wow, look at that girl, look at that woman, like, I want that, I'm going to keep this one for myself. You're done. Because the same way your knees buckled there, then you know what? Same thing, she could make you serve her God. And you're finished. All that for nothing. Same with the woman. She could see a nice man. You're going to have some big strapping lads there. And guess what? You're done. You go there and he has the better of you. We are Israelites. We are the ones why we're existing today. I'm going to be bold and say that. Because we are the chosen people. We are the salt of this world. It was us who he chose. Now everyone's fighting over our book. Get your own book. If you don't want to hear about this book. But this is our book. Right? It talks about us. Now the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. As I said, he could have wiped off these nations, but he wants his people to do it to show that, wow, these are the same people what took over 7 great nations. As I say now, who's going to explain this? Who's going to explain this? Because the only how you can explain this if you call in yourself an Israelite. Otherwise, you can never explain it. Because before I came into Israel, I've never heard this. I didn't even know scripture like this even existed. The reason being because they can't tell you that. They're going to preach about love and God loves everybody. And that is a lie. But if it is, then you've got to explain the 7 great nations, what he wiped out. And he fought our battles. You're going to have to explain about even Pharaoh and his chariots and his horsemen and all of them that had us under their wing, controlling us. You're going to have to explain that. Why then this God who loves everybody wiped them out. Explain that. Let me read on. Verse 5. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. You want me to read it again? Okay, I will. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Doesn't matter how much numbers you got. It's proven so many times that we are that people. We are that special, peculiar people. A holy people unto the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Know this. We have that truth. Now, he said to break down their groves and cut down their images and burn it with fire, their altars. Because it doesn't mean nothing. That the God of Israel saying, don't worry about these stupid little gods. Their gods ain't going to do nothing to you. Like, we became gods of them people. We messed up their stuff. Now wait a minute, we just beat up your God. Like he was saying in I think it was Priest Kurt was saying about how their God dropped down and smashed up and in pieces. Like that is so funny. Like people carry their gods in their bag. They got plastic bags and they put their God up and then pull it on the mantelpiece and they start praying to their God, man, and thinking like, wow. And some gods is maybe some is as big as this. Some of them they wear it round the neck. They got the God round the neck as well. Some of them in their little handbag, or but then some of them has got these big ones. They took their time and made it. Big, nice, and carved it out, done all the dressings on it. Now, hey, here comes Christmas, and hey, what are you going to be doing then? And all the ones who said, yeah, we're the truth, they're going to be bowing down. Yeah, to Satan. That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be bowing down and serving their Christmas, and they're going to say they got the truth. Wow. Anyway, verse 7. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. As I said, we're the fewest. Man, wow. This was written years ago. But we're still the fewest. What has changed? We are still the fewest. But compared to the world doesn't get this truth. And it's not everyone who's going to get this understanding. So those who's listening today and who's getting this, who understands what I'm saying to you, wow. You need to put your hands up and thank my God that he has chosen you to even understand this. And yes, you know what? I'm still learning myself. I'm still learning. You never stop learning. You never stop learning. But you're on the right track to learn. If you get this little bit, because you ain't heard this before. You ain't going to hear this because they can't explain it, because they, as I said, they have to say they are that people, the children of Israel. Some, as bold, like to say it, but they don't do what they're supposed to do. They haven't been baptized, they haven't supped, they haven't done none of these things. Some of them don't even know his name, but they claim to be the people of God. No chance. Verse 8. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn unto your fathers, has the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, and from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Now therefore, that the Lord thy God, he is God, a faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandment to 1,000 generations. He repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hate him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I commanded thee this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercies which he sware unto thy fathers. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean it's that, yeah, you could be called an Israelite or even come into this fold and feel that, okay, now you've got everything, now you could just sit down and relax and say, oh, okay, yeah, I could serve God when I want. Because this is what people do, right? I kid you not, it doesn't go that way. If you keep these things, then, you see what happened then? From the first verse, the smite will wipe off all them 7 nations, and you receive that blessing, that's when you would receive it. Not before. It's not now because you get a piece of the truth. You can sit down and think, okay, yeah, I've got it now. I'm in. That's it. I could chill now, relax. Like I'll talk to some people and tell them about the God of Israel. Yeah, oh wow, sounds great. They go away and thinking, okay, well, I can serve God when I want and how I want. like a sermon on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. I could do what I want now because I've got this truth. So now you're becoming the God of the gods, yeah? Like you could do what you want. You could choose your days. And then, as people tell you, now you've been saved. So why do anything? Just chill out, relax. You know? But not for us. You got to do as instructed to keep the laws, the statutes and commandments. But it was only given unto us, as it says in Romans 9. It was only us, the Israelites, who could receive such things. We have the right to serve our God because we have the services of God. We have the laws, the statutes, even the commandments, which is given unto no other nation, no other people, except for his people. Where was I? Verse 13. And he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb and the fruit of thy land, thy corn and thy wine, and thy oil, and increase of thy kind, and thy flocks of thy sheep, in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Thou shalt be blessed above all people. They shall not be a male or a female barren among you, or among your cattle. And the Lord will take away from thee all sickness, and will put none of the evil disease of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee. And thou shalt consume all the people which the Lord thy God shall deliver thee. Thy eyes shall have no pity upon them, neither shall thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. And if thou shalt say in thy heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispose them? Thou shalt not be afraid of them, thou shalt not be afraid of, thou shalt not be afraid of them, but will remember what the Lord thy God did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt, the great temptations which thy eyes have saw, and the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm, whereby the Lord thy God brought thee out. So shall the Lord thy God do unto all the people of whom thou art afraid. Moreover, the Lord thy God will send a hornet among them until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. Well, let me just stop. It's like you can't even hide from that. You can't even hide. Like anyone who comes against this will do it. And yeah, it might not happen there and then. It might not happen there and then. But you can remember, time has passed and they cried unto the Lord and he heard their cry. But he delivered them. Thou shalt not be afraid at them, for the Lord thy God is among you, a mighty God and terrible. And the Lord thy God will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings unto thy hand, and thou shalt destroy the name of thy name from under the heavens. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou hast destroyed them. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire for silver or gold that is on them, nor take in unto thee, lest thou be a snare unto thee, be a snare therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God. Neither thou shalt bring a abomination into thy house, lest thou be a curse like thing, like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Now, as you can see, the God of Israel, he's not making no joke. He doesn't want nothing. Even when he said the gold and silver have rung their gods, don't bring it in, because he could think like, wow, this is gold and silver. Listen, you got to follow instructions, yeah? Because he doesn't care about those things. He cares about his people, but he wants to show us the power that no one would stand before us. And yes, as I said, there's many people had their way with us and done terrible things to us, but they're going to get their own. They will. 100%. You don't do these things to Israelites and get away from it. Right, just quickly, I know time is running. I might not even be able to go to this point here, but I will just give you something real quick. Okay, I'm just going to mention. So, you got Gideon. Same thing. When he said that there was how many thousands of men with Gideon? And he said, don't take all those men. Because the numbers they're still not going to be more than them, but they're going to have a fair chance to say, wow, there's thousands of us. Yeah, there might be a bit more, but we're going to still fight them. And because there's a whole load of them, he said, no, don't go with them, Gideon. But just a quick breakdown. That Gideon, he said, by his hand, he's going to save all Israel. Now, Gideon was like, wow, put the fleece on the floor, and he asked all these things to be done to say, me, I'm leased from my father's house. Yeah, I'm not going to give, by my hand. And he said, if it's by my hand, show me a sign, just, and 3 times he asked for that. And he even said, Lord, be not angry with me. Because he was asking, how am I going to go do this thing? Yeah, of course it's terrifying. You got all these people. And then guess what? To make it even more fair, yeah, that the God of Israel said, you know what? The ones who lap it up the water, that's how much you're going to take with you. And that was like 300 men. But there was thousands of them. Wait, just hear it. It was thousands. I'd love to go on a story, but I won't have time. But there was thousands of the Midianites. By 300 men, bam, it was gone. He wiped them out with them to show them that it doesn't matter how many men you have, you are done for. He said, be not afraid of them, because there's more of us than what you could see. You only see a handful, but that's what you could see. But the ones you don't see, we have the armies of God. Remember that. Another story. Hezekiah. Wow. That one's deep. Just want to give you a touch on that. Where the king said, don't believe in Hezekiah. Don't even listen to him. Could deliver out of my hands? No one could deliver out of my hands. No one has before delivered out of my hands. Don't listen to him. He's just going to try and come after you to make you believe in him. Wow. Some people's going to be bracing that. They will. But they will get their own. And it has. He was wiped off. But even when God fights for us. Even Hezekiah, when he was sick, he prayed unto the Lord. As I said, we're not untouchable. But we are curable. But we have to do what's right. And he pleaded unto the God of Israel. And he said to him that, I love to read it. He said that he done everything right in his sight. He walked before him. He done all these things. He pleaded for his life. And he gave him 15 years. Hezekiah pleaded for the God of Israel, give him 15 years. And he said, because David, my servant, I'm going to deliver them into thy hand. I'm going to finish them off. But the God of Israel, he only fights for us. Well, so I couldn't go on. But as you know, like this scripture is full of it. There's so many stories. What could prove my point that I'm an Israelite. I serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, the God of Israel. And if you want to know more, keep tuning in. Keep liking, to subscribe, donate if you can. Because here at the Israelite nation, we just want to give you the truth. Right? And I just hope and pray that my God will give you the ears and the understanding and the eyes to see and the ears to hear that spirit of truth, that you may understand this, because you're not going to get this anywhere else. You could only get this by the teachings of an Israelite at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Peace and thank you for listening. So right now I'm going to introduce you to our very own Minister Charmaine.
Serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you,
God of Israel.
All I wanna serve is you. All I wanna serve is you.
Preserve me, O God, for in thee do I put my trust. O my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, thou art my Lord. My goodness extendeth not to thee, but to the saints that are in the earth, and to the excellent in whom is all my delight. Their sorrows shall be multiplied that hasten after another God. Their drink offerings of blood will I not offer, nor take up their name into my lips. The Lord is a portion of mine inheritance, and of my cup. Thou maintainest my lot. The lines are fallen unto me in pleasant places. Yes, I have a goodly heritage. I will bless the Lord who hath given me counsel. My reins also instruct me in the night seasons. I've set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, and I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither will thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy, and at thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. Selah and Selah. Amen. Peace, brethren. Well, thank you so much, Priest Ricardo, for that excellent lesson. And brethren, I hope that you've made room for some dessert, because I know that was lots of food that Priest Ricardo just gave. Lots of meat there for you to eat. And I'm just hoping that you just kept a little bit of room. Maybe some of you like dessert. And I'm hoping that maybe it'll be sweet and, fulfilling, because that was a really strong message. And, it's not easy. There's a lot of things there that Priest Ricardo said. Whoa. Now, I think, Israel, you must have been fired up, because I was there and that was firing me up, because I know that everything he said there is the truth. But the truth is not easy to swallow. Not at all. I mean, when you're hearing that the creator of the heaven and the earth does not care When Priest Ricardo is saying it with so much conviction and so much heart, because he knows the truth. That the God of Israel does not care for other nations, because he fights. He fights for us. He fights for the Israelites. And when Priest Ricardo suggested, that be the lesson topic, I was like, okay, well, where do I start? Where do I start? Because, to be honest, everywhere in this scripture, everywhere in the Bible, all it speaks about is the God of Israel and him fighting for the children of Israel. But yet, if you do not have eyes to see, if you do not have ears to hear, like so many thousands and millions of people across the face of the earth, you will not see it. I mean, I was once like that. I was a little girl raised in Christianity, like so many, going to Sunday school every Sunday on the Sunday school bus. We had our little red Bible, the New Testament more so. And I never saw Israelites written about in the Bible. I never saw it. And how is it that the world can open up the Bible? How is it that you can open up this book and not see a story about a father and his children? How is it that your eyes cannot see the Israelites scattered across every page of this book? And for even those of you who do see it, you discard it like it's nothing. You discard the chosen of God as if they're done away with. They're not important, not significant. But what did the God in this book say? What are his words? Because after all, we're supposed to be following his ways, his laws, his statutes, his commandments. We're not supposed to turn onto our own understanding. Now, so many lessons have been touched today with Priest Ricardo. So many lessons. I mean, he talked about Gideon just now. He spoke about Gideon, the 300. There's a movie made about that. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob chose 300 of the least of Israel to fight. Why would he choose the least of Israel to fight in the war and win and be victorious? Because maybe if the hundreds of thousands of Israelites had fought in that war, maybe they would have taken that glory for themselves and forgot to glory God. The God of Israel, if you read this Bible, you will see that he loves to show his might and his glory. He loves to fight for Israel. Just like a father would fight for his children. Just like a father would fight for his child. He chose the least of Israel so he could show Israel, look, I will fight for you. I will wipe out nations for you. And I know it's not a pleasant message. I know it's not nice to hear. But here at the Israelite nation, we can only teach you the truth. I mean, we touched about Moses. When Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt with a mighty right hand. And Pharaoh, how powerful that man was. So powerful. I mean, if you think about the gods that were in Egypt, the gods that Moses had to go against. So when I say gods, I mean not the one true and living God, but the gods that the Egyptians worshipped. Now, do you remember when Moses, when he had the staff and he was told to go up to Pharaoh and say, let my people go? And remember when he threw the staff down to the ground? And what happened? Turned into a serpent. So what did Pharaoh do? Was he dismayed? Was he dismayed at that miracle? No. You think that wasn't something that Pharaoh had seen before? Pharaoh called his sorcerers, come. Look at this guy. And And they too did exactly the same thing that Moses did. They threw down their staff onto the floor, and what did you see? What did you see? You know, there's a thin line between power and might. But the victory in that story, Israel, is that it was Moses' serpent that swallowed up the pharaohs. That was the God of Israel showing his power and his might through Moses. But look how close that was. Look how close that was. Because Pharaoh was built up so high that he was like a god to his people, to his followers. I mean, it was his sorcerers that did those things. I mean, we're talking about principalities and powers in high places. And in those days, they understood spiritual things much more than we do today. The God of Israel had to show his might. And he had to use Moses, raise Moses up in the house of Pharaoh. Raise him up so that Moses would understand the enemy. Moses would understand the ways of the enemy. Moses knew what he was up against. But he had to put his faith and his might in the God of his fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Because he knew that he wasn't an Egyptian. He knew that he was an Israelite. What did Moses do? What did Moses do before he led the children out of the house of bondage, out of Egypt? When he saw the Egyptians hurting his kinsmen, the Israelites in the Bible, did he not kill that man? Did he not kill and slew that Egyptian and buried him in the sand for Israel? He couldn't bear. He couldn't bear to see the affliction of his people, Moses. Now you think about that man who was raised in a house of power, in a house of authority and royalty. You know, if he wasn't a humble man, he could have been like, look, I'm good. I am good. I have all the gold, I have the riches. You know, Pharaoh's daughter is my mother. But his heart was for Israel. His heart was for his people. And that's what made Moses the man that the God of Israel chose, because he was humble. He knew himself. He valued himself as an Israelite, regardless of the temptation that was before him. Let me tell you, when I was a young girl, you know, I seek to understand these scriptures. I did. And I remember maybe in my teen years, I opened up the Bible. And then I read a few chapters, and I can't remember exactly what I read. And I closed it back again. I said, nah. There was so much murder and killing in the scriptures. And I said, no. This isn't the Bible. This isn't the Bible that I've been taught in Sunday school. I'm reading about murders and wars and killings. And I closed the book. For many years, I closed the Bible because I was like, that didn't go right with what I've been taught as a Christian. I mean, God loves the world. God forgives. This Bible, it didn't make no sense when I read it. And I closed it back because it just didn't make no sense to me. I closed it for years. And it was when I was taught by an Israelite that I finally began to understand what was written about in this book. And you know, you have to be somebody that seeks the truth, that wants to hear the truth no matter what. No matter what. You need to be somebody who's willing to serve the one true and living God just because he's God. Just because. Oh. When we say that God fights for us, I am saying, we are standing up here today that's saying that God fights for the Israelites. And then the world says, well, who are the Israelites? Where are the Israelites? But the scriptures say a remnant shall be saved. And yes, we did wickedness to our own demise. We turned away from our own God to the extent that no nations on the face of the earth even recognize us as God's people. But the time is coming where that will change. The tables are turning, because that is the prophecy. That is what the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has promised. And he is a God of his word. I mean, you tell me something. Is this God some airy-fairy God that promises and makes covenant with people and don't keep his word? Read this Bible. For all you people that go to university, all you scholars, read this scripture. Read about the God that is in this book. He's no airy-fairy God. Let's go straight back to the beginning. I'm going to show you that even in Genesis 17, he chose Abraham, who was known as Abram, to represent him even as his witness. Let's turn our Bibles to Genesis 17. I'm going to show you the lineage from which my people, the Israelites, come from. Genesis 17. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared unto Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect. Remember, he was the Almighty God at that time. Walk before me and be thou perfect. Now, why, if he is a God of the world, does he need to say to Abraham, I am the God, the Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect? Wouldn't everybody just be walking before him because everybody worships the same God? Why would he have to pick and choose? If everybody's already worshipping the same God that the world tells us there's only one God, we only worship the same God, doesn't matter how you worship him, the biggest lie ever. Because even the God of Israel said himself, serve no other gods before me. Serve no other gods before me. That's a commandment. Everybody knows that. Genesis 17, if you go to verse 4. As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations I have made thee. And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. Now, many nations today say that they come from that same man, Abram. And we know, it says it in the scripture, many nations upon the face of the earth came from Abram, the same man that the Almighty God made a covenant with. He said that. But we also know that if you jump down in the same scripture and you go to verse 15, and God said unto Abraham, as for Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yes, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto this woman who is 100 years old? Now we know that the Almighty God is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. But we know also that that man Abram had a son called Ishmael. The Lord did not choose Ishmael. When he changed Abram's name to Abraham, that was a spiritual change. That was because he has now made a covenant with the Almighty God to walk before him perfect. And so, you know, the man who you was before, Abram, I'm changing your name to Abraham. You will now walk according to my way, the way in which I instruct you. And the Lord called Isaac Abraham's first son. The scriptures tell you that. If you're in the chat, you know the scriptures, go to it. He called Isaac Abraham's only son. Did not even acknowledge Ishmael as his first son. Because there was a spiritual change that took place at that point. You know, even if you look at it today, some people say, oh, I've been saved. Some people say, I've gone and got baptized. I'm a new man. I'm a new woman. And I've changed my life over. This was a real spiritual change that took place. He even changed his wife Sarai's name from Sarai to Sarah, and then made her have a child at over 100 years old, because that was going to be the lineage in which he was going to choose to be his own chosen people. From the beginning, we see a sifting. If you know the story of Abraham, you know that he was taken out of Ur of the Chaldeans, separated from his father's house, and taken to follow the Lord and his ways. And he left everything behind, everyone behind. Isaac was Abraham's first son. It is all written in this scripture. Verse 19, and God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. So he's already choosing his seed after him. And verse 20 said, and as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him. You know, Abraham was like, but Lord, this is still my son. Like, Ishmael is still my son. Like, you know, the Lord said, I heard you. I'll bless him. I will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 tribes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. He said, but my agreement. So what is this agreement that the God of Israel, that the creator of the heaven and the earth has with the Israelites? And you think that the Lord is just going to gone away with his covenant from these people that he fights so hard for, that he sifted and chose what seed, which one he wants for himself? And if you know the scriptures, because I know many of you know these scriptures better than me, you know that Isaac went on to have two, even twins. Who were they? Esau and Jacob. He went on to have Esau and Jacob. Esau came out red and hairy. Jacob came out different. And what does the book of Malachi say? The book of Malachi said the Lord hated Esau. Let's turn there. Malachi 1. Chapter 1, verse 1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob. What? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Now, does that sound like some loving God? When you have Priest Ricardo up here talking with all that conviction, saying God fights for us, he ain't telling no word of a lie. The God of Israel chose who he wanted to represent him from the beginning. And that even goes right back to the Garden of Eden, when he said, I will put enmity between thy seed and my seed. Because there is a spiritual warfare going on right here through mankind. How can a God, this God Almighty, hate Esau, that came from the same vessels as Abraham and Isaac, who he chose. Because it's the heart of man that determines you. It's the heart of man that he looks at. Do you remember when he chose David? He said he chose a man of his own heart, David. When the people chose Saul to be king, the God of Israel was upset. He was upset because he was like, I'm your king. Why do you need to choose a physical king when I'm fighting for you? When I'm here, I am your king. And you chose Saul because he looked the part. He says, if you're going to have a king, I'm going to choose a king of my own heart. And he chose David. And that's another story. And you know the lesson we was just taught. David and Goliath. You know, look at his heart from day one when he went out to fight the Philistines. That little boy went out to fight the Philistines. And he had no fear. And he had a whole lot of big brothers. And this little boy used to just tend after sheep. But he says, no, these people ain't going to diss they ain't going to diss my God. They ain't going to diss my people. That ain't going to happen. That zeal was in that young boy from day one. That spirit was in him from day one. And that's what the God of Israel loved. And again, the God of Israel, he showed his might because again, you know, he went via a little boy to show his might. All that little boy needed to have is faith. He just needed to believe, and the God of Israel said, yeah, I'm not going to let this boy down. No way, he's fighting in my name. That boy had spirit. And let me tell you, he didn't want no big shield. He didn't want no big buckler. The God of Israel, he didn't need that. Just give me a stone. Just give me a little stone. Just give me this thing. I'm going to shoot this big giant down like what? Let me tell you that day must have been a victorious day. And that's why it's such a famous story, because he had no shield. The big giant is laughing at this little boy, you know. All Israel is shivering and quivering. And this boy is like, no. And that's why the God of Israel chose him to lead his people. Because he fought in the name of his God. And that's what we need to claim back today, Israel. We are of those same people. We have that zeal. Our God chose us to be his witnesses. And he said there'll be a remnant saved. From day one, there was a separation between flesh and blood. Separation of people and separation of nations. There may be only one human race, but there's much difference in spirits. You know, we live in a world that is divided. And when you think about it, Israel, this lie that we were told that God loves the world, the fact that we're told growing up as children, forgive, so people can walk on us, stamp on us, hurt us, and we have to forgive these other nations who keep oppressing us, keep treating us like we're the rubbish of the ground of the earth, and we've got to go back in their shrines and ask for forgiveness to their gods. Elder Shadrach, and here at the Israelite nation, we've been teaching, our priests and our elders have been teaching that is still Jacob's downfall. Remember, Jacob was surnamed Israel. Do you know what a surname is? My name is Charmaine Williams Clark. That's my surname. Jacob was surnamed Israel. If you know the Bible, I know there's many of you scholars who know this Bible much more than me. He was surnamed Israel. But still, we think we need to forgive other nations. Where is our power? Where's our dignity? Why can't we stand up together? Because this is the problem. Out of all the nations of the earth, we're the only ones so divided. We can't trust each other. Pulling each other down. There's nothing to unite us. Nothing to unite Jacob. But we here at the Israelite nation, we serve one true and living God. We're brethren. We are family. And we understand that there is only one way to win. And that is if we put the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob first. We can only win if we ask him to fight for us. Because what we're going to do, we've got no military power. We've got no military power. We can't get guns, weapons, and machines and fight these people that oppress us. When we have the Black Wall Street, they come and bomb it all down. You have to turn back to a God that you don't see, yet you see his creation every single day. Call on his name. And let him fight for you, Israel. Let the God of Israel fight for you. Children of Jacob, return. And let him fight. Because let me tell you, there's no greater pleasure for him than to fight for his children once we claim him back as our God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I mean, I have a story. Let me tell you. 2 Chronicles, story of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. Okay? And the Ammonites and the Moabites, they came upon him. They came against him. Let's turn our Bible, 2 Chronicles 20. Because this nation came onto the king of Judah to fight him. To fight Israel. 2 Chronicles chapter 20. Right? This nation came to fight. And what did Jehoshaphat do? This nation that looked more in number than the Israelites at that time, they came to invade the land. And what did Jehoshaphat do? What would you do? He called on his God. And the first thing he did is he magnified God's name. He magnified the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And he said, wasn't you the God that took the children of Israel out of Egypt? Are you not the God that did these great wonders? Are you not the same God? And are these not the people, the Ammonites and the Moabites? That we at one time, we could have invaded these people, but we didn't invade them. And now they want to come up against us? Let's read it. 2 Chronicles chapter 20 verse 1. Just a little bit. It came to pass after this also, that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, and with them other beside the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. Then they came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, there cometh a great multitude against thee from beyond the sea, on this side Syria, and behold, they be in Hazar Tamar, which is in En-Gedi. And Jehoshaphat feared. He feared and set himself to seek the Lord and proclaimed a fast throughout all Judah. And that's what he did. He proclaimed a fast throughout all Judah. He said, Israel, this is the time that we now have to rely on our God, because this nation is fierce. What are we going to do? And Israel fasted before the Lord. They didn't eat. They fasted. They held their faith. And Judah gathered themselves together to ask help of the Lord. Even out of all the cities of Judah, they came to seek the Lord. All Israel came to seek the Lord. And Jehoshaphat stood in the congregation of Judah and Jerusalem, in the house of the Lord before the new court. And he said, O Lord God of our fathers, are you not the God in heaven? And rulest not thou over all the kingdoms of the heaven? And in thine hand is there not power and might, so that none is able to withstand thee? He glorified the God of Israel first. He said, you are the God of the heaven and the earth. Nobody can withstand thee. And he went on and said to them, Lord, judge them. Lord, judge this nation that has come to fight us. In verse 12 to 17, he said, Lord, judge them. And you know, if you go to verse 14, the Spirit moved upon Jahaziel, the son of Zechariah, the son of Benai, the son of Jael, the son of Mattaniah, a Levite of the sons of Asaph, came the Spirit of the Lord in the midst of the congregation. And he said, hearken you all Judah, and you have inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou King Jehoshaphat, thus saith the Lord unto you, be not afraid by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but God's. Did you hear that? But the battle is not yours, but God's. The Spirit of the Lord came onto the Levite and said, the battle is not yours, but God's. He said, tomorrow go down against them, behold. And he told them, he told the children of Israel where they're going to be. You know what I love about this story? Because I can't read all of it. But what I do know is verse 18 says that Jehoshaphat bowed his head down, faced the ground, and he prayed to the Lord. They rose up early. If you go to verse 20, they rose up early in the morning, all Israel, and went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, Jehoshaphat stood and said, hear me, O Judah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem. Believe in the Lord your God, so shall ye be established. Believe his prophets, so shall ye prosper. And when he had consulted with the people, listen, when he told the people, he said, believe in the Lord and you shall be established. Believe in the prophets and you shall prosper. And when he had consulted with the people, he appointed singers, guys. This is the bit I love. This is why I chose this. He appointed singers unto the Lord, and that should praise the beauty of his holiness. So it's like, we're going in the morning, you know, there's this mighty nation coming to fight us. Priest Ricardo saying, people, believe in the Lord. Let us be established. Yeah? Then he says, go, worship, go sing, go praise your God. Now, how would you be? Are you not shaking in your bones? Like, sing? I'm on the battlefield and you're telling me to go sing? Like, you're telling me to go worship God? Like, sing? And the priest said, go and sing and worship the Lord. And that's what Israel did. Israel sang and worshipped the Lord. That's all they did. And they held their faith and they praised their God. And you know what? If you read the scripture yourself, 2 Chronicles chapter 20, all dead men, dead. It was already said. You're not going to have to do nothing. All you need to do is glorify your God. Stand still and let your God fight for you, Israel. Children of Jacob, return to your God and let him fight for you. How much time? How much is that? Let him fight for you, Israel. You know, I love that, because if you think you're on a battlefield, guys, and you just have to go sing the songs that you love, every knee shall bow, Can you imagine? And you're singing and you're worshiping the God of Israel. Listen. Verse 25, and when Jehoshaphat and his people came to take away the spoil of them, they found among them in abundance both riches with the dead bodies and precious jewels, which they stripped off for themselves more than they could carry away. So not only did they see dead bodies lying around, but precious jewels and all sorts of stuff that they could take. Is that not God fighting for certain people? Does this sound like the God that they teach you about in the Sunday shrine? Because it certainly don't sound like the God that they told me about when I was growing up as a little girl. I know we have a zeal of the Lord, you know. I know these things sound hard and I know they sound heavy. But it's not as if you can't return unto the one true and living God. It's not as if you can't come forward and serve him. But you've got to understand that from day one, he had a people upon the face of the earth that he chose to serve him. Who did he create? Did he create every human being? No. It says to me in the Bible, he took from the soil of the ground, the nice black soil, and he made Adam. And then the scripture told me he took from his rib, Adam's rib, And he made him a woman. So as far as I know, he made Adam and he made Eve. What came thereafter? Don't forget the days of Noah, when he was so wroth and upset with the imaginations of man's mind and heart and the abominations and the things that they were doing, that he sent the flood to kill all nations, because it was like, this is not the way it was supposed to be. I know it's a hard lesson, guys. You know, why would we want to say this? But I am telling you about the Bible, and I'm telling you now that these scriptures, it's a book of war. The Bible is a book of war for Israel. The God of Israel is always proving his might, proving who he is. Look at the world. I don't know if any of you saw. Yesterday I was watching documentary just come out, Amazon Prime. I'm sure many of you have seen it. Many of you have heard it. Free Meek Mill. Meek Mill, the rapper? Yeah? I heard Free Meek Mill, but I don't know his music. And I'm telling you now, when you watch that documentary and you see the injustices of the criminal justice system in America, it is a joke. If you look at the disadvantages of our people, it is a joke. If you look at how our own people go against our own people, just like in the slave days. I mean, it was a black woman judge that was giving him such a hard time. It is a joke. You haven't watched it? You don't know what I'm talking about. Watch it. It is very educational. It really gives some insight to the criminal justice system in the Americas. And I know that it's very similar in the UK, but much more quiet, much more covert. I know that. There is so many disadvantages that our people are put at. So oppressed as a people. We need the God of Israel to fight for us. We need somebody to fight for us. Because the system, the oppression is so deeply entwined into the system. It's like, how do I escape this injustice? You know, you can get it on videotape now. You can watch somebody being shot in the back now. And these officers will still get off. They're still walking away. How is it that we're living like this? You need to return unto your own God and stop looking up to these people for validation. Worship your own God. Don't go to their shrines on a Sunday and say, yes, you forgive. When the God of Israel is there, willing to fight for you. Return unto your own God. And if you've watched enough videos of us here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, you'll know about the blessing and the curse. Now, so many of you, will say, oh, there she is talking about the Old Testament. It's not like that anymore. So let me just go really quickly while I have a little bit of time. And let's look at what Jesus the Christ said and what he did. Okay? So let's turn our Bible to Matthew 15. Matthew 15. We there? Let's have a look at how Jesus the Christ represented his people. Let's find out if he came for the world like we are taught. Matthew 15:22. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coasts and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. Huh? Have you ever heard that story before? You guys in the chat room? Jesus is teaching. Yeah? He's teaching people. So you have a non-Israelite woman, a Canaanite woman who has gone to Jesus for help. Now consider the Jesus that you guys are taught about on a Sunday in the shrine. You You worship Jesus, you love Jesus, and Jesus loves you, right? So you tell me why, when this Canaanite woman came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, you son of David, my daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. He ignored her. Jesus ignored a woman who asked him for help? And then his disciples said, send her away. Why? Why would Jesus do this? But he answered, verse 24, and said, I'm not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. So he's given an explanation. He's saying, look, because he saw his disciples getting involved and saying, tell her to go away. He said, look, sorry, but I'm not sent to you. I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, to the Israelites who have forgotten their way, to the Israelites who have forgotten who their God is. I've come back to show them. I've come to show them and to tell them how to return unto their God. I didn't come for you. You're a Canaanite. She said, she came and she worshipped him in verse 25, saying, Lord, help me. Then he went on to say, verse 26, but he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. Did he have to go that far? He already just said, look, I'm not sent. The God of my fathers, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, my father, he didn't send me to you. He sent me to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He said, it's not right for me to cast my meat to dogs and give it to dogs. The meat, remember I said at the beginning, Preacher Carl had given you all this meat, this spiritual information, this soul food. I won't say soul food, actually, that's wrong. But anyways, he give you this food to eat. Yeah, he said it's not right to take the children's food and cast it to dogs. He called her a dog. The non-Israelite woman a dog. And look how backwards the world is now in the videos calling all these women of Jacob, Israelite blood women. This is how backwards it is. Because Jesus called the non-Israelite woman a dog, and now look what we're representing. We're calling our own people these B words. It's crazy. Anyway, and she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. The Canaanite woman showed so much humility. She was told to go away. She said, I need help. My daughter has got a spirit. She needs help. She's not well. He said, it's not meet for me to give the children's food to dogs. She said, yes, but the dogs have to eat the crumbs. He said, you know what? She's healed. Your daughter's taken care of. And that was the mercy of Jesus the Christ to other nations. But you understand, that didn't come easy. That didn't come easy. Because he came to teach the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Because the God of Israel fights for us. When we don't serve him in spirit and truth, he gets hurt. He's upset. He feels pain and anger because he's like, I made a covenant with your forefather Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, that you would be my people. You would be my witnesses. And yet you go out and worship all these strange gods. What can they give you that I can't give to you? And the only time Israel loses in battle and loses in warfare is what? When they disobey their own father, when they disobey this one true and living God that we have the privilege and the benefit of serving. It is a shame to us. It is a shame to the children of Jacob. And our disobedience allowed the gateway for all nations to come in and serve now, which is a good thing. It's a good thing, because the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob deserves to be worshipped, to be magnified, to be praised by everybody. All nations. Yes, he should be worshipped. Yes, he should be praised. And then you will become his people. Let me tell you something. If you turn your Bibles to 2 Chronicles 16, I just want to share this with you really quickly. 2 Chronicles 16. This tells you what happens when you don't call on the Lord. This is a scripture to tell you what happens when you don't call on him. Let me tell you, the God of Israel wants you to call on him. He wants you to call on him. We are supposed to call on the God of Israel when we're in trouble, when we're in need, when we're struggling. We're not supposed to rely on nobody else. We are supposed to call on our Father first. Get on our knees and pray. So let's turn your Bibles to 2 Chronicles chapter 16. Asa. I've got scriptures. Asa, king of Israel. He turned to the king of Syria for help in this scripture. He turned to the king of Syria for help. He made a big mistake. Let's read from verse 1. And in the 6th and 13th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, king of Israel, came up against Judah and built Ramah to the intent that he might let none go out or come into Asa, king of Judah. Then Asa brought out silver and gold out of the treasures of the house of the Lord and of the king's house, and sent to Benhadad, king of Syria, that dwelt at Damascus, saying, There is a league between me and thee, as there was between my father and thy father. So he has gone to the king of Syria, who dwells in Damascus, saying, brought him all his gold and all his silver, and said, look, there's a league between you and you. Let me and you stick together. Let me and you work together, okay? Like me, my father and your father did. I've set thee silver and gold. Go, break thy league with Baasha, king of Israel. So saying, break the league with Baasha, king of Israel, because at that time there was a king of Israel and there was a king of Judah. Okay, that he might depart from me. And Benhadad hearkened unto King Asa, and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Israel. So Israel, they're fighting Israel. Judah and Israel, they're at war. It never works. When we fight each other, it never works. And they smote Ijon and Dan and Abel Mam and all the store cities of Naphtali. And it came to pass, when Baasha heard it, that he left off building of Ramah and let his work cease. Then Asa the king took all Judah, and they carried them away the stones of Ramah and the timber thereof, wherewith Baasha was building. And he built there with Geba and Mizpah. And at that time Hananiah the seer came to Asa, king of Judah, and said unto him, because thou hast relied on the king of Syria, and not relied on the Lord your God, therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of your hand. Because you relied on the king of Syria. You went to him with your gold. You went to him with your silver. And you asked him for help. You did not rely on the Lord thy God. He said, therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of your hand. Were not the Ethiopians and the Lubims a huge host with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because you didn't rely on the Lord, he delivered them into thine hand. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro. Listen, the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. Herein thou hast done foolishly. Therefore from henceforth thou shalt have wars. He says he is looking for the perfect man. He's looking for you, the perfect person. And perfect means that you're following his ways, his laws, his statutes, his commandments. You're living according to his will. And he's saying he's looking to see, if you call on him to fight your battle and your wars, he's looking for you to call on him. So when we do not succeed sometimes, did we call on our God? Did we pray? Did we put him first? Did we fast? Did we magnify his holy name and then stand still and let him win that battle for us? We need to claim back what he's given us as a people. He has given us power because he is the one true and living God. You know, there might be many people in this earth who have authority over you in the workplace, have authority over you in the office, here and there, but they do not have no power over Israel. No power over Israel. So long as we are doing what we're supposed to do. Jesus Christ said, I came not to send peace, but a sword. In Matthew 10, I came to send a sword. There's a spiritual battle going on here. All I'm saying to the children of Jacob, those of you who do not know Israel, do not know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even the God of truth, seek him this day and let him fight your battles for you. Because he will fight your battles for you. You don't need to look to Master anymore. Yes, Master, no, Master. Call upon the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and he will fight for you. And this is the beautiful grace that our elder Shadrach has taught us. He's taught us how to worship this great, great God. And I thank him greatly. Thank him so, so greatly for teaching us and giving us this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. If you get anything from this lesson today, allow the God of Israel, children of Jacob, all nations, let him fight for you. Peace.
Flesh is quite visual, spirit never physical. Only in celestial form, I'm terrestrial. Breath of life blown through his merciful nostrils. How can I be hostile when I speak the gospel? Holy Ghost festival, Israel is the refuge, Christ is the hospital. And I need some patience, no time for wasting. Evil will receive evil's my equation. God of Israel is my king, I'm anticipating. And I've learned that you never ever cease learning. Fire still burning, heathen still cursing. It's imminent, we stand strong and never broken. Still missing memories of the saints fallen. Tears reflect crying, throats still be choking. Many are called, but who's worthy of the chosen?
Serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you.
God of Israel.
All I wanna serve is you. All I wanna serve is you. All I wanna serve is you. Serve you. All I wanna serve is you. Serve
God of Israel.
All I wanna serve is you. All I wanna serve is you.
Hey yo, this is the doctrine, the King James Version. Rare like I'm married to a virgin. Excuse me, I beg your pardon. I ain't no Christian, never eating swine, but it don't make me Muslim. I form like God's favorite, King David. I strive to contrive a psalm of the ancient, instructed. My style's constructed. I am monkey, never praying like no mantis. I'll give you a man's fist. Speak lies to an Israelite, now that's ludicrous. Foolish, come let me school this. Knock knock on your door, screaming, who is this? Who that? Check it, but it ain't J. Cole, Muhammad or that crazy witness Nicole. I roll with the number 7, who are in heaven. My father, the God of Jacob, my secret weapon. We serve you, I serve you.
Serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you, serve you.
wanna serve is you. All I 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 wanna serve is you.